Denny Hamlin, and he's talking about the fact that he's happy with Joe Gibbs, and Joe Gibbs is happy with him. And the next thing you know it, if you're happy and you know it. Go ahead.
Clap your hands.
Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate you bailing me out here.
Look, we have toddlers. We are very well accustomed to that song. Okay.
So there we go. Anyway, there's Denny Hamlin, and was reading some fine work by Lee Spencer from Catch Fence this weekend, and made the rounds at PRN, Lee, that Denny Hamlin could maybe sort of kind of be in the silly season market. What can you tell us?
Well, I think absolutely. I mean, you've been at the track lately. Some of the hot rumors over the last 2 weeks has been the fact that even though he says he's not looking for a charter, which is understandable because the going rate from what we hear out there is 40 to 50 million, right? But it sounds like potentially 2 charters might be coming available via Stewart-Haas Racing. Not sure, what's going on there. Have been told by several sources Smithfield isn't coming back, which means Almirola's not coming back. I think he's just waiting for the right time and place to make his announcement. But there is so much up in the air. And with Denny in particular, the fact that Legacy Motorsports is coming in there with absolutely no connection to Toyota, but gets moved up to the front of the line, is having a mano-a-mano relationship with them. And Denny's relationship is through Joe Gibbs. I think that complicates the situation as well.
It's interesting, Lee, when we think about silly season, a lot of fans probably just think about drivers, moving seats. But manufacturers play a big role in this. And there has been some word on the street that 2311 has potentially met with Ford. Do you know any more about that?
I heard that a meeting happened between Rod Moskowitz, which is Denny's lawyer, and Ford personnel at Michigan. That was just, heard that from a couple of people. And so, Michigan obviously would be the best place to do that, although manufacturer reps are at the track every week. But given the performance from Stewart-Haas Racing, you have to wonder, are they the best solution for the Blue Oval moving forward? I mean, granted, Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick locked in yesterday, and certainly we see nothing but blue sky ahead for RFK after, a decade of struggles. But, Kevin Harvick, even though he's in the playoffs, he has one playoff point. This is not the way we all wanted to see Kevin Harvick go out of this sport, because we know his contributions to the sport, motorsports in general. And they, if Kevin Harvick can't be competitive at Stewart-Haas Racing, you got to be there and scratching your head. A perfect example from yesterday was Chase Briscoe running in the top 15, having a great day. Left rear tire gets stuck, can't get it off. Goes from 14th and the highest Stewart-Haas Racing driver down to 36. And, it took them another time coming into the pits to get it up. But at that point, with the tire issues, his day was done. We can point at an anomaly like the 9 car, right, from yesterday. And I'm sure you've talked about that ad nauseum. But looking at Stewart-Haas Racing and the strength of that program over the years to what they've become, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, but it is mind blowing. I think the speed at which they've fallen from grace is the mind blowing part. But I want to go back to Denny. So if Denny doesn't drive at Gibbs, where's he going to drive? Are they going to pay if there's 2 charters open and 2311? Let's say that's $100 million deal. Are they going to buy 2 charters for $100 million deal and put Denny in the car? I mean, how does and obviously Toyota is more concerned with their Cup program, because we know that Kyle Busch, when Denny says, I'm saying some of the same things Kyle said, it's kind of the same situation to some degree, because Kyle had an existing Toyota deal with the trucks that were dominating the truck series and winning that, and Toyota was willing to give that up. So what do you think Toyota is willing to give up, and where would Denny go if he's not at Joe Gibbs?
Well, I don't have to tell you this, Kyle, because you've seen the machinations that go on, and you've also seen the power plays of dangling the potential of moving here, moving there, going with this manufacturer. That, I mean, it's all part of the chess match, right? the contract with Stewart-Haas Racing does not expire until after next season. So if he did a 1-year deal with Joe Gibbs and, remains in the 11 car, he could ride that out and then go to the 2311 if he wants to continue behind the wheel, which, given the kind of season he's having right now, I can't imagine, he would want to quit. Right. But I think that if he can, eke out another year there and would be able to move to 2311, maybe in 2025, then it would all kind of come together. The other scenario I heard is that 2311's talking to Zane Smith. Only heard that from one person, but person's usually pretty spot on when it comes to, their intel. And so could the charter that they're trying to seek now be, going there? I mean, I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth talking to Justin Marks at Indy, and he said there's no charters to be found. I mean, I hadn't even asked the question, and quite honestly was going to ask, something completely different. I was going to ask about Suarez, because at that point he was really part of the story. But Justin just turned, there are no charters to be found. And Brad Keselowski at Michigan, he said, people I've gone to have said to me, your money's not good here. But if for whatever reason, what's going on with Stewart-Haas Racing, because look, Kevin's gone, he's got full sponsorship for the 4, right? If Almirola leaves and sponsorship is for Smithfield, and I'm sure you guys being at the racetrack have heard the same thing I have, is that they have not replaced Harvick's sponsorship for Josh Berry yet. If you did sell 2 of your charters, which you'd hate to have to do to support, 2 existing teams, or, depending upon what happens over there. But it might be the fastest solution to keep things going until sponsorship can be found.
Yeah, as far as 2311 goes and all of that, Lee, if you go back in history, when Toyota signed Levine Family Racing, they were trying to sign an extra Toyota team because at the time they had Joe Gibbs and Furniture Row. Well, we know that Furniture Row and Joe Gibbs couldn't necessarily agree on what that information transfer cost, so Furniture Row goes out of business. Next, Levine Family Racing goes out of business and 2311 comes into play. Is there something in this whole deal involving Denny Hamlin, 2311, Toyota, Joe Gibbs Racing, that is almost like a curse of Joe Gibbs, that just when Toyota finds another team with Legacy Motor Club, now there's the threat of them losing a team with 2311?
Well, Denny was there for a front row seat for all of that. And I'm sure he's talked to Martin Truex Jr. and gotten Martin's side of the story, because, Martin was involved in that as well after Barney Visser. I mean, here you have a recent champion, and Barney said, I'm not just going to be held hostage here, and have to pay whatever JGR expects me to pay for this stuff. And not sure what Toyota's involvement was, but I think Levine went through a very similar thing. Once you're in there, they can raise the price as high as they want because it's their ball game. And I know Denny knows how this is going to end. We saw it, what he did firsthand, doing his own pit crews. I mean, they still train there over at the JGR facility, but he decided that I'm not going to be, 5th and 6th best on the pecking order with my pit crews, because we'll never get anywhere. So I really believe that Denny knows that he has to be autonomous to build the company the way he wants to.